to our February meeting. You got the agenda. I wanted to talk about a few things today, as I always usually want to do. We sort of have introduced everybody. Chris Rosinski. I was wondering where Chris was. Here comes trouble. Where's Chris? I want him to hear me say this. Where is he? Here comes trouble.
Oh, there he is.
Mr. Trouble himself. Do you want to unmute yourself and say hello?
Hello.
Good morning, Chris.
Chris. All right, good. So so today we wanted to there were a few things that I wanted to talk about today, and some of them might be pertinent to your club, some of them might not be, but I wanted to just have a little bit of a hash out regarding that. Before we start, I think everybody knows everybody else, and Bob, everyone knows Bob. I should make you co-host as well, Bob King, so we stay up at the top. I'll make Bob co-host so we stay up at the top. Bob, did you want to, I said on the list here, maybe you could update. Does anyone have any questions about the website, or does any errors or omissions or anything you want to talk to Bob about?
Good.
All right.
I'm glad there's no changes to be made. I would like to ask, though, how many people have found it to be of use for doing things with your club?
Yes,
Yeah,
I see
quite
some hands
useful.
up. Well, that's good. That's good.
thank you.
Suggestions are always welcomed.
Excellent. Excellent. Good. All right. So failing that, then I wanted to move on, and I wanted to talk about a few things. And this actually this resulted from a meeting I had with Carol on Tuesday or Wednesday. But before we get there, I want to just mention to everybody, I had a delightful experience last Tuesday, and it was we had Bob G talk on his security talk. Now, Bob has been doing it for about 10 years, and I've known Bob for a very long time. This year, he aced it. It is the best talk I've ever heard Bob do. It is outstanding, and it spawned a bunch more questions about what we're going to be talking about at Tech for Senior over the next little while as well. So if you have not had Bob come and do the talk at your club, he's right up there at the top. Wave, Bob. And you can, he'd be certainly happy to come to your club virtually and give the talk. But it was a very, very, very good security talk. Really well done, Bob. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ron.
So, so for sure it was, I think it was your best. But anyway, you're always good, but I think it was really the best. All right.
One, I'd like to mention that Bob spoke to the Leisure World Club and was just a star. I've had so much good feedback on his presentation.
Yeah. It was really, really good. Super good. And it spawned a lot of new things that are going to come that we need to talk about, which is great. Now, so that prompted a call to Carol the following day. Carol, of course, Carol Wave, she's our president. And, you know, one of the things that we need to think about as clubs is what's going to happen in October of this coming year. And I think that in particularly with our club, Silvercom in Mesa, we've had a particularly bad run of things happen. Prior to COVID, we had the collapse of our administration building, boom, right? Which really put us in the glue for a couple of years. It took about 2 years to get that sorted out. And then we just were getting back on our feet, and kaboom, we got our legs pulled out from under us with COVID. Now, so we're really haven't been back. We had a very successful club. We had lots of things happening. Everything was going great. And, you know, Bob and I spent a lot of time together having fun with My Club Circle. But life has changed. And what are we going to be faced with when we return in October? And I said, Carol and I had a long talk about this week, and a number of issues that we're going to be faced with. It's very likely the key people in our organization won't be there. They're not going to be there. So there are going to be huge changes that are going to, a lot of people doing the type of work that we wanted them to do aren't simply going to be there. Not only that, Carol, how long have you been president?
I'm going on my 7th year.
Right. Carol's been president 7 years, and I've been the program director 10 years. Now, I can tell you that if we lived another 10 years, Carol would then be president for 17 years, and I would be program director for 20 years, right? So, yeah, exactly. All right. So, the problem, the first problem that we have is when we come back to our clubs and we look at what we're going to be doing, life will be changed dramatically, and those same people won't be there. Will we have the same audience? I doubt it. And it's going to be a lot smaller. There will be maybe, it could be dramatically reduced, right? And so we're going to be faced with what are we going to do and how are we going to run our club? And I had some specific ideas about this, and I wanted to talk about that today. Does anybody have the same worries that I have? Have you been thinking about that? Is there any other? You're all thinking the same, probably on the same line. Yeah, like we're looking at what we're gonna be doing and so on and so forth. And part of the issues that we need to talk about was is the legacy that we need to do as leaders in our club. We need to find replacements. And a lot of times in clubs, what happens is that people just quit and leave. People I'm not saying Carol would do that, but at some time in the future, Carol's going to say, I can't stand this anymore. You're driving me crazy. I'm out of here. Right. And it's going to happen, and that's going to happen. Right. So it's somehow we have to be kind to the people that they're in our club, and we need to find replacements for ourselves, and for that we need to have the few people that we have left. We need to be able to give them roles and responsibilities that they can do, and that will require simplifying what we're doing rather than keeping it complex. And you'll see where I'm coming with this and why I want to talk a little bit about this. Let's talk a bit about finances. To give you an example, with most of us here are using My Club Circle. Some of you are and some of you aren't, right? And what I'm getting a bit of feedback. Is anyone, I'm going to just mute everybody except myself, and then you can unmute yourself, okay? Maybe that'll get rid of this feedback, or I'll put my other mic on. We'll see how that works. You should, now, if you want to speak, just, we need to talk about this. So if you want to speak, just hit the space button and talk. The first issue would be finances. Now, most of the clubs collect money, right? And you collect money, and somehow we keep track of the money and say your membership is paid. This actually is a rather complex task in our club because there's a steep learning curve. You need a computer. You need we use, of course, My Club Circle. We have a database set up, and we have it set up for the year, and you tick it off. We've tried very hard to find somebody to do that job, and in particularly in membership, and it's very, very difficult. In fact, the person who we had earmarked for that looked at it and said, you just can't do it. So what is wrong with having a book? In other words, we have a book, and if you have 50 people in your club, you write the names down and you tick off at the back of the book and say it's paid or not paid. And anybody in your club can do that. You don't need a computer. You don't need anything. You just have a book. You go back to the old ledger, and who can't have a book and you just tick off paid? And so who couldn't do that? So that would be one of the first things we need to do is how can we simplify what we're doing? Finances. I'm sure that each treasurer, in trying to find somebody to do the treasurer's job, again, what is complicated about what we need to do? We need to have, out of the 50 people we have in our club, we need to say we collected $10 from them, and here's 10 times 50 is $500, right? It's not difficult. So we make it difficult by having complex spreadsheets, by having My Club Circle, a very complicated way of doing finances, or however your club is doing it. Can we simplify this so that more people, if we gave somebody a ledger and said, sit at the front door, take $10 from people as they come in and tick it off that you've completed the task. Is that so difficult? For your treasurer, you can have a book and you have how much money do you have? What are your expenses? You have like half a dozen expenses in a club. It's so darn simple. Do you really need a spreadsheet to run it? If you have a spreadsheet, who knows how to use a spreadsheet? You need a computer. You need all sorts of technology to do it. Can you not just do it by having it as a book and just coming back to the basics, right? And as far as programs, well, again, programs are programs. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But what I'm thinking about is in the legacy of after we are gone, is if you have something in paper and you have something simple, every member of your club has the potential of doing that job rather than having it as a complicated issue. Does anyone have any questions about that? Does that make sense to everyone? Chris, did you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I do. I suspect we'll be in Leisure World with 350 members, and that makes a lot different deal than having 50, but I suppose it's possible on paper as far as finances go. I'll talk about programs when you get there.
Right. So I think that you need to. I mean, that's a huge club, and you think you're going to still have that many when you come back. Now it's a little bit different. Now I must tell you that if you look at how I'm talking about the other clubs, and certainly Venture Out will be something that will be different because and we'll talk about that in just a sec. But one of the things Bob and I have used now for many years is a product called My Club Circle. And I think that you guys use it, Leisure World uses it, we use it.
No.
Don't you guys use it at Leisure World?
Let me tell you what happened. A year ago, 2 years ago, we lost track of the person who does My Club Circle. We only had one person in there know how to use it. So right now we have no membership list. We have no My Club Circle. We have no email. We have no website that we can use. It's a nightmare. So that's our biggest nightmare. We got to fix it.
And that's what I'm talking about today, Chris. That's exactly what I'm talking about today. And we have the same issue in our club in that we have we've used it now and we have all those issues of ours. And the only one that actually uses it is me. I have all the knowledge and I am the only person that does that. So if I died tomorrow, the secrets of the club would go up with me, would be gone with me, right? So big challenge, and one in which Carol and I talked about this week, and we're going to change that and we'll be leaving My Club Circle. Now, and we'll be doing that this year for a variety of reasons, which I want to talk about. So I wanted you to think a bit about streamlining and making things in a paper format that is easier to use. Now, that's a crazy thing to be saying in a technology group that we all have computers, right? I know it sounds dumb, but otherwise you're going to be faced with the same problem Chris has, right? Which we don't want to go there. So we need to solve that problem. And today I want to talk about some of the ways and that we can solve it. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about Bob's Club because it really does. It made me smile when this happened. And this happened about 2 years ago. Bob and I I don't know how long we've been using My Club Circle. I think we started it way back 10 years ago, Bob, 10 years ago, right? So we've been really the shakers and movers and, all sorts of, although Colin was pretty cool at Venture Out. He helped us a lot setting it up. And we've been through thick and thin with My Club Circle. And I think probably in the early stages, the software wasn't that good, but it's probably got better over time. So Bob came up with this idea, this club, that they were going to actually offer courses, but you could register online, pay online, and then you just, everything would be electronic and it would be great. It was so simple and it made logical sense because the software allowed you to do that. And so they spent a huge amount of time and energy, and I'm sure one time, not today, but another time, Bob might want to talk about all the energy and all the trials and tribulations they put into doing this so that people could just register online. And in fact, they did. And however, I think they had, what, 2 or 3 people that actually did it and actually put a credit card number in and used it versus all the hundreds of hours to set it all up. So again, if you have limited resources and you have limited manpower, how are you going to do that? How are you going to, you only have so much manpower. If you use it all in doing something that's non-productive, you just burn people out and it isn't going to work. Do you have a comment on that, Bob? I know it was a big project that you did and you did it well, but it took a lot of work and didn't really get what you wanted at the end.
We abandoned it after the first year.
Exactly.
The problem was collecting the funds. You had to have a PayPal account associated with My Club Circle, and that had to be somebody's personal PayPal account, and getting all that set up and getting the money back, it was just too complicated. We did have people successfully sign up. It was used by most everybody, but it just wasn't worth it. So we abandoned it the following year.
Right.
We were looking at the same thing. And for a number of years, we were thinking about getting rid of My Club Circle and Leisure World. But there were a couple of people that like to use it, and those people are no longer with us. On a second thought, we're going to have a new president next year, and we put together a member committee, and we are reaching out to people, and we've had a good response coming back to rejuvenate our club next October. So we're hoping to keep our membership the way it is and enhance more people. And the other thing, as far as going to paper, that's not a bad idea, but we're looking at getting younger people into the club because a lot of us are aging up there. So we have to look at that too, Juan, as opposed to just going back to paper. And those people more likely will want to use something computer related, and especially in a larger club like ours with 300 members or so.
Right.
And,
right.
You know, that's where we're at. I just wanted to make a comment.
Yeah, and I agree with that. However, what I would say is that generally, if you're talking about finances, you'll get someone come along and say, "Why are you doing it in paper? I can do this in a spreadsheet." Well, that's fine. Let them do a spreadsheet. At least with a spreadsheet, when they leave, you can print it out and go back to paper, right? Like at least you know what it is. But if you're using some sort of financial software that they have and you don't know anything about, all your accounting data is all going to be gone, right? So the next thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is a concept that you may, part of what I've learned so much over the past year, it's a learning experience, is with Tech for Senior. I have learned so much in this past year, and part of that is what I'm going to be sharing with you today. Now, what you're all using now and what we're using for this meeting is called Zoom, and you're using a Zoom meeting. And again, I would strongly recommend, if you have anybody in your club or you have any misgivings about using Zoom and you want to change to one of the other programs that you can use, don't do it. The universal standard will be Zoom. It is now going to be used on all the Echoes and Google devices, and it will soon be on all televisions as they're produced this fall. So this is all going to be Zoom technology. So don't fall in the hole by having someone in your club saying Zoom's not secure and they want to use Meet or something like that. You'll be really unhappy with that. So stick with Zoom. But having said that about Zoom, is the problem with Zoom is cost. And a lot of the clubs here don't have, but there was a person here, last month, and they had like 30 members in their club. They're a very small club. And so Zoom I mean, Zoom, the cost of Zoom is $200 a year Canadian, and it's or $140 US. Otherwise, the free version, you only have your meeting up to 40 minutes. So, so in order to do a Zoom meeting and to have Zoom for your club is costly. In other words, there's a cost, and now and so smaller clubs will have problems. And one of the ways in which you can get around this is doing something that we call is streaming. And what I wanted to talk to you today about is another way of running your club other than using a Zoom meeting. And you might want to think about this, and I wanted you to think about it. This will be the year of streaming, and there are many streaming services. Many of you don't know what streaming is, and I wanted just to give you a brief idea of what it is and how you could make it work. The advantages of streaming is free. We can do this for free, and I wanted to show you how you could set this up and how you might consider this, and this is all done for free. Now, I wanted just to give you a brief, I'm going to share my screen and play you a little brief introductory video on how to use StreamYard. I don't know if you've heard of StreamYard, you understand what StreamYard is, but I want to play a little video on what StreamYard is. What StreamYard is it's a piece of software, but it's not software you download. It is so easy to use, a 3-year-old could use it. It's free, and you can, and I'm going to show you how it works and what you would stream to. I'll talk about that in a minute. But let me just give you, let me just share my screen. I want to just share it, and we'll use the sound, and we'll play this, and I'm going to play it.
In this tutorial, we'll be exploring the StreamYard Studio. We'll also be going live. In the previous tutorial, we created a broadcast. Now let's enter that broadcast. Every time you enter the broadcast, you'll see a tip, and you're given the opportunity to check your equipment and set your name. So for example, I could add test to my display name, but I'm just going to leave it as is. And you can see if you click the settings button, that's a great way to check that your mic is working with this little volume analyzer, and also check your speakers by clicking this test button. You can also check that you have the correct camera selected at the resolution that you want. Now let's enter the studio. The first thing you'll see is this little notification here that you're not part of the stream yet. So if you were to go live right now, you would only see a black screen with no audio, which you don't want. So you want to make sure that you add yourself to the stream like this. We're now part of the stream, and you can also remove yourself from the stream by clicking that again. But again, note that this will remove your audio. So you probably just want to keep yourself in the stream. And you can see in the top right here that there's this view on YouTube link. So that's that link that we talked about in previous tutorials that you'll send to your viewers so that they can see what things look like on YouTube. Let me share my screen so that you can actually see what that looks like. Perfect. So this is what viewers that go to that YouTube link will see. And when you go live, the stream will start here. Why don't I invite a guest so that we can explore some of the layouts and see what it looks like when you invite a guest. To do that, we'll want to use the invite button and send the link to who we want to invite. I'll be sending it to my co-founder, Dan Briggs. So Dan should be joining in just a second here. Awesome, Dan is in the broadcast. And again, I need to click him to add him to the stream. So Dan's now part of the broadcast, and I'll change the layout so he can get a better view of him there. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm excellent.
Very good. So one important thing to note, and that people often get confused, is they'll remove themselves from the screen or from the stream to full screen their guest. But you do not want to do that. You want to use the solo layout, otherwise you'll lose your audio. So if you'll see this button here is the solo layout, and I can use that to full screen Dan, and you'll still be able to hear me in the background, but Dan will be highlighted there on the screen. So now let's try going live. So I'm going to hit this go live button, and then you'll see I get the notification that I am live. One thing that people often don't know is that all live streams have a bit of a delay. So you'll want to make sure that you don't have, I'm doing this right now as an example, but you'll want to make sure that you don't have the Facebook or YouTube live stream open at the same time, or else you'll be hearing yourself twice, which is no fun. I'm just going to go over to that stream. Let me actually show it on screen for you. Let's do the full screen one. I'm going to go over to that stream and leave a comment so that you can see how that works. So let's just say, hey, this is a test, and why don't I show an emoji so you can see how those work as well. Perfect. Now, if I go back to the StreamYard Studio, I will go back to this view, and you can see that the comment has appeared in my comment section, and I can click it to show it on screen. And it even has my picture there, which is pretty cool. And then you just click it again to hide it. And let's walk through some of the other options we have here. Banners, which some people call lower thirds. You can type these out at any time and show them on screen as a nice call to action. So I just typed out one that says this is a test. And there you go, this is a test. The branding section has all kinds of options, and this is where most of the premium StreamYard features can be found. Branding is free though, so you can change your brand color to whatever your brand is. Let's say that it's that nice color there. If you're on the premium version of StreamYard, you'll be able to remove this watermark and upload your own, or just hide it entirely. This is our Town Hall watermark. Another premium feature is overlays. So this is our example overlay, but you'll be able to make custom ones like this yourself, which is pretty cool. We also have the ability to play intro clips as overlays, which is pretty nifty. I'll show that at the end of this stream, but first let's check out the backgrounds. So this is a pretty subtle background, but you can make something more over the top if you wanted to. Lots of people like using a solid color, so you can show and hide those at any time. And you can also choose to show or hide display names with this slider here. So why don't we turn off this overlay, play a outro video, and that will be our demonstration of the live stream. So this is what it looks like when you play an outro video. Awesome. And now the video will be playing on YouTube shortly, which we can see. That's what our viewers will see. Now let's go ahead and end the broadcast.
And that was that's an example of the streaming service. Now, the cool part about the streaming service is it's free. There is no cost, and you can stream. You can have 3 people as broadcasters, up to 3 for the free version. Now, where would you stream it to? Like, what are we talking about here? What is this streaming stuff? Why would this be something you'd be interested in doing in your club? Well, let's say your club is you don't want to spend the $200 or $140 on a Zoom account. You don't have that much money. A very simple thing you could do is you could have your meetings, you could have your guests, and you could stream it, and you would stream it either to YouTube or to Facebook. Now, what that brings me to the next issue. I did a training course yesterday on Friday on Facebook. Now, you are all gonna say to me, and of course, I hate Facebook. I don't use Facebook. You're going to tell me all the same things that I believe too. I don't use Facebook. I don't particularly like Facebook for all the various reasons. All right. But what you have to understand about Facebook is there is 1 billion people every second of the world of the day that are on Facebook. Most of the type of people that we have in our clubs, the older people, all will tell you they hate Facebook, but they're all using Facebook, right? So they're all on Facebook, all right? So so it is something that you want to consider, and it is free. And let me just talk to you about where you're going to stream this to and where I'm going with this. Just bear with me here. I know before you get started, I don't want Facebook. I want you to just listen to this, what I have to say. Let me share my screen again. And we'll come up to okay, so the first thing that you need to know is there are 2 things that I'm going to there are 2 things I'm going to mention. Is one is the Facebook page, and another is a Facebook group. Now, a Facebook page, unlike what you're used to using in Facebook's, is actually like a business site. All right. It has built-in analytics. You can add all sorts of things onto the page. It would be like a website. It's almost like a website that you can use for your club, and you could have this as an interactive page. It boosts, and you can boost your image on Facebook, and you can even have paid ads on there. And you can advertise apps and services for the page, and it's also indexed by Google. And this is called a Facebook page. So think of it as a website. Think of it as something you can put information about your club on this Facebook page. And not only, now you're not in the business of creating an account or selling stuff, but this can be promoted as well through Facebook. And again, there is no cost to this, all right? So that's what we call a Facebook page. Now, the second thing is you can create Facebook groups. Now, in our resort, we have actually a group for Silver Ridge. It's called Silver Ridge Connect. It's a group, and it's a group for our resort. But so you can create, and there are 3 forms of groups that you can create. You can create, and these have built-in analytics. You can set it as a private, closed, or secret. You can post documents, create polls, even buy or sell within your Facebook group. You can create group chats, and you can create member notifications, all within the group. So you could actually have your computer club as a Facebook group. Okay, so that's another way of saying, okay, we need to have a group. We need to have some software. We need to somehow have this group of people that we want to communicate with. Well, you could use a Facebook group. Now, there's 3 types of groups that you can have. You can have a public group in which there would be no restriction on who could actually join the group. And that would not probably work for a computer club, but this where you'd have a moderator, you'd have some rules, and you'd say, well, if you want to join the group, that's fine, but you have to abide by the rules. But there would be no vetting of who could come in the group. All right. The second thing would be a group that would be private, that is visible. And this is where you would have a moderator, and you would have to be, you would go to the group, and the group would be, and you'd have to be let in. In other words, the moderator would say, well, who are you? And Chris Rosinski would say, I'm Chris Rosinski. And they'd say, Ron Brown told me don't let you in, right? So so they would do something like that. So you can have this where the moderator actually asks some questions and can allow people in or not. I don't think this may work or may not for your computer club, but the last one would. And this is where you would have the private and hidden group. In other words, there would be no you can't see this group. You would need the link to be able to see it, right? And so this would be where you could have your computer club. You could have maybe your 50 members. You could have a ledger and find out who's being paid and who hasn't. And you would simply send them a link to this particular group. And that once they paid, and then that group would be, they would be allowed, they would automatically be in the group. And this is where you could use the StreamYard to broadcast to that group. So if you had a meeting on Monday morning, like we have with Silvercon CTC, we could simply use StreamYard to broadcast whatever we wanted instead of Zoom. And we would have the receiving part of the broadcast would be into this group. And it would be a private group that only people in the club would get into. And that's one of the ways in which you could use this. And all this is entirely free. There is absolutely no cost to Facebook groups or to StreamYard. So it is another way in which you can use technology free. And it's simple. It's really, really simple to use. And that was one of the things I wanted to show everybody and to talk a little bit how streaming could be used. Yes, Chris. Unmute yourself.
Okay, I got it. Are these ad related support? In other words, if we do this, we're going to see ads all over these things or not?
There are ads in them, and you can you have the choice of how many ads you want to put in. I mean, it depends on why you have a group. In your particular situation, you're not selling anything. A lot of groups would be groups that would be associated with actually promotion and wanting to have people come to their group because you may have some course you're running and you're charging money for, and you want advertising in. So yes.
I'm talking about Facebook putting ads on these sites that they put on.
Yes. Well, you have to remember there are ads, and nothing in life is free, right? So this is supported by Facebook, is supported by ads, right? So yes, you are going to have ads. The other issue is you don't own the data. Remember, it's on there for Facebook. However, I will tell you that this is big time. You all know that you can make money on YouTube. I've done a bunch of videos on how to do that. But the whole Facebook thing and people using Facebook as businesses and running their businesses is huge. This is not something just I thought about. I did a course on this on Friday, and it is really huge. And I can tell you that we have a Facebook page for Tech for Senior. Now, I don't promote it, but every newsletter that's published goes automatically on our Facebook page, which is Tech for Senior. And each week I get probably 15 or 20 people that have looked at that. And I get also signups for a newsletter, and I get traffic from something I'm doing nothing for, and it's just a page. It's virtually because of the volume of people that are always on there. Now, I know that's different from a club. In a club, you're not looking at that. It's different. But all as I'm saying is this is a way in which you can have your group of people, and you can have it as a community, your community, and you can have it very secure, and you can broadcast to that community all for free. It's an option that you can look at, and it's an option that you might consider doing. And I thought it's pretty cool. Many of you don't know what even streaming is. Now, you can of course stream from Zoom, and that's one of the big features that one big features for Zoom is that you can stream to YouTube or Facebook from Zoom. But again, you need the paid Zoom account. So again, if your club is a big club, you've got lots of money, it's not an issue. But I would tell you that if you have a club, there are many clubs that maybe are struggling, and particularly are going to go back this year and might have 20 people, right? And that's it. And that's all the members they're going to have. And they don't want to be paying $200 for a Zoom account. So this is a way in which you can actually create this and do this for free. Yes, Chris.
Okay, I'm concerned about the ads. Can you pay money like you can on YouTube and other places to have an ad free? And the other question is about, do they interrupt your stream like on YouTube does to put an ad in? You have to click the button and say, I want the ad in the middle of the stream. How much ad is thrown into this that's going to interrupt our program?
There wouldn't. And when you stream it into your private chat, there would be no ads in the stream.
Thank you.
Right. It just streams it right into the room. So basically what you would do is for the meeting, like our meeting today would be maybe Bob and I and maybe Carol would be the three people in StreamYard. And all as you would be doing is you'd go to our Facebook group, and you'd be sitting in the Facebook group, and we would just stream it over to the Facebook group, and you'd be sitting in Facebook. Right. And so you'd be listening to what we're doing, and there'd be Carol, Bob, and I on StreamYard. And that would all be free.
How would we invite them to join this group? Would we have a pre list that goes out, or we send them an email and say, click on here like we do with Zoom?
Right. Well, it depends on the type of group you have. And my advice would be to have the closed private group, and the only people that would be able to have the link to get into the group would be people who have paid to be in the club, right? Now, in our case of EVACC, there's no membership. So we'd have to decide whether, how we'd want, but you have your three types of groups. You have your open group, you have your private group, and then you have your sort of secret group where you have to have the link to get in. So it depends on the philosophy of what you're doing, but most clubs have a paid structure. So you'd have somebody with a book, you'd have a ledger, and you'd say, Bob G paid is $10, right? So this year we can send Bob G the link because he paid, and you've got a book. You say yep, and Bob, you send Bob the link, and now Bob can get on our Facebook group, and that is our club, is that group, right? Instead of My Club Circle, which is $200 plus per year. So we're looking at that. All right, now
Ron, I have
ahead.
a question going back to StreamYard.
Yep.
Don't you have to purchase a specific software for
No,
that
there is no
to
software.
run that?
No, there is no software.
You don't have to purchase OBS software?
No, there's nothing. No, absolutely nothing. In fact, you can run StreamYard on any device, including a mobile phone. You could just run it all on a phone. There is no software. It's simply a website you go to, and that's it. It's all run in the back by StreamYard. There's no software whatsoever.
You mentioned that there was a premium version. If you wanted those premium things, do you know how much roughly that is?
Yeah, it's running around, and what the big issue is, it limits you to 3 people in the meeting, right? Like because you're broadcasting it. So as you move up and you can have up to 10 people in the broadcast, and of course, as you pay, then you have more people that you can bring into the meeting. Now, I want to just move on to the next part that I wanted to talk a little bit about, and this is I wanted just to play you another little video, and this is about how you might want to choose some software for your club. And let me just play this, and I'm just going to play this little clip now.
Before picking a software, most clubs I've worked with are happy with their choice after comparing these 5 main features between their chosen options. And here they are. Number 1, look into how your options handle registration of payments for members and events. Because the club management software you choose should be able to create customizable online registration forms that process member information right into your database and their payments directly into your account without your involvement at all. Number 2, an easy to update club website. The best club management software will give you an easy way to create a modern, mobile responsive, customizable website, and most utilize what's called a drag and drop builder. So make sure your option that you're looking at has that. Number 3, a full contact database that's easy to search, filter, updates automatically, and spits out member reports about who's lapsed and whose dues are overdue. Number 4, simplified member communication through automated emails and easy to design newsletters, and many options even offer newsletter templates that are pre-built for you. Number 5, a mobile app. Most club managers aren't sitting in an office all day with access to a computer. They're out and about interacting with their members and going to events and all that sort of thing. And that's why the club management software you choose should have a mobile app that allows you to manage members and events from your phone on the go. So, with a good understanding of the top features you need, it's time to start evaluating your options. And to help you out, I've actually compiled a list of 25 powerful club management software tools, which you can find in the description of this video. And one of the top providers of club management software used by almost 4,000 clubs around the world is Wild Apricot. And Wild Apricot received Capterra's award for the #1 membership management software 7 times in a row. And they got Software Advice's award for the top 5 easy to learn systems. So if you'd like to find out if Wild Apricot is right for your club, I encourage you to sign up for the risk-free 30-day trial. And that's all. So thanks for watching.
So what I wanted just to show you about that is the pricing structure. In my 10 years of evaluating club software, and Bob and I have looked at an awful lot of this, I would tell you that this, unlike My Club Circle, which was a CRM software, which we tried to make it work as a club management software, this is software that is being around for a long time, and it is club management software. It's for it's for like Leisure World, who may not have financial problems, and it has lots of members, and you really want to stick within within an electronic version. My advice would be to really explore this. And the interesting thing is, particularly for smaller clubs, the problem with this is it gets more expensive as you get more members, right? But look at this, for under 50 contacts, it's free. There is no charge. So the person who was here last week or last month that had maybe 25 or 30 in her small club, she would be able to use this really, really incredible software for free. Under 50 people, it's free. For up to 100, you're $40 a month. For 250, it's so Chris, you'd be looking at $90 a month. So we're looking at about $1,000 a year. So, but this is an all-inclusive option for somebody who would be looking at staying in the electronic part of it. And I just wanted to bring that up. Now, the last thing that I want to talk to let everyone to talk about is MailChimp. And this is what we're going to be doing as we leave My Club Circle. And I talked to Carol about this, and I'm going to be putting this towards the board. It is, I don't know how many people we're going to have when we come back to Silver Ridge, but I have a feeling it would be anywhere. Back when we used to have 200 people, I think we're probably going to be looking, Carol, what do you think? Maybe 40 to 60? I don't know what I don't know where we're going to be, but it's going to be a lot less. So
Maybe 100.
Yeah, maybe, or I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. So what we're going to be able to do is I think we're going to have a book, and we'll be able to keep who paid and who didn't pay in a book, and anyone can use the book, and that will be our membership. As far as the treasurer goes, whoever wants to do the treasure work and figure it out, and they can either keep it in a book and keep it a paper copy, or they can, if they understand computers and want to do a spreadsheet. One of the advantages, but we will need some communication skills and some sort of communication for our members. And this is what I use for Tech for Seniors. And I evaluated an awful lot of services, and MailChimp was the one that I came up with, and it has been outstanding. And I've used it for about a year now, and I am so impressed. All the problems that Bob and I and you guys had with My Club Circle goes away with MailChimp. And the killer of this is it's free. In fact, this is the pricing structure of MailChimp, and you can have up to 2,000 contacts and 10,000 emails a month, and it's $0.00, and it is free. All right, so so what exactly is MailChimp? All right, I want to just give you, I'm going to just log into our account, and I'll show you how I've set it up for Tech for Seniors. I will log in here. Crap, two-step verification. Hold on. We will put the code in. Now, the first thing is that it's a database. And so you can import very easily. It took me 2 seconds to export the database out of My Club Circle and import it into this software. So the ability to export out of My Club Circle, however, and you can bring as much data over as you want. In my case, I only wanted the name and the email address associated with it. It's integrated, and so basically it allows you to, this is your audience. They call this the audience, and this is all my contacts, and we have over 750 778 contacts. And of course it analyzes all this. Now, the cool part about this is this makes a sign up page for whatever service that you have. So we have, most clubs will have a website, right? And you'll have a website. And so this actually makes a sign up page that you could have integrated into your website. So if you go to if you go to Tech for Senior website right now, which is hosted on Google Sites, again, free, you just sign up for the newsletter and it adds you into the database of MailChimp. So super easy to do, and they've integrated it into any site that you have, and it will, and people just sign up for your newsletter or whatever, and it will automatically add them. Now, and again, this is in the sign up forms. You can create the sign up forms. Now, if we come down here, we will, and I don't want to be, we will come down to campaigns, and campaigns are really your email. And so what I've created for Tech for Senior, this is the email that I've made, and I have here a master folder, and I have two, and what we have is we send out 2 emails a week. So we have a Saturday and a Tuesday master. And so if I, this is the template I've made for the master for Saturday, which will be going out. So, and as I come over here, I can replicate it, so I can duplicate it so I don't screw it up. And so this is a new Saturday master. And this is created, and it's so easy to do. A 2-year-old could do this. If you get to our Tech for Senior letter, you'll see this is where it is. And so these are this is the template that I've created for Dewey's work this week. I simply click on this here, and it adds it over in the right side, and I can simply enter whatever I want here, and that goes into the email. And so it really works so easy. And it's very easy to create. And once you create and it's just a drag and drop. As you want different parts to the email, as you build it, you just drag and drop it over onto the left side here, and then you can preview and test it, and then you can send it out, and it goes like a snap. Now, one of the problems that you experience and that Bob and I experienced was the DKIM certificates, because spam is a big problem, and we've had problems with My Club Circle 2 or 3 times where all of a sudden our mail didn't go through. And Colin worked on this, Bob worked on it, we all know about this. I'm actually going to stop. I want to see everybody. We all worked on this, and the within MailChimp, they automatically will do the certificates for you. They will make sure, and I've had no trouble whatsoever in sending the emails out. We send about 800, just under 800 emails out for each newsletter. It's growing about 100 a month, so we'll be over 1,000 pretty soon. And it goes like a snap. It's instantly, we don't have any trouble because they've created all the certificates that we need. It also links into a website, and they will help you create a website and actually link all the stuff into this. And it has a rudimentary website builder as well, so it's integrated into that, and again is all free. Okay, so this is so easy to use. This will be what we're going to switch from. We'll move from My Club Circle. I'll move the database over here, and we'll use this as our broadcast to send the information out to people, and this is what we'll be using instead of My Club Circle, and it's again free. So that's where we are with that. So what I wanted to do today is I wanted to give you guys some other thoughts and options of what to use for your club management software as we move forward into October of this coming year, when we may not have the same people that we had with the expertise. Any questions that anybody, any questions now? We'll
Ron?
Yes, go ahead.
MailChimp is free. Okay, we all know nothing is totally free. So what are they getting?
Well, they're hoping that as you move ahead with the analytics and so on and so forth, that you'll purchase the, you'll start purchasing some of the other products that they offer, because they do offer other parts. And a lot of people that are using this type of service are using it to promote their business, right? So there are analytics, there's a way to promote your products, there's a way to do that, but we're not, as a computer club, that's not really in our interest. So it's great because you will not find, and I reviewed maybe 20 or 30 software programs, you will never find 10,000. You might find 100 or 200 contacts and free email, but you'll never find 2,000 contacts and 10,000 emails that you can send out for free. Yes, Chris.
About a year, maybe a year and a half ago, I looked into MailChimp and found out that they're downloading cookies on the individual computers. Now, whether that's just the people that are using the MailChimp or whether they're the users of the product. And there was a lot of other data they were collecting. It made me very nervous. I haven't looked at it lately, but have you looked at that, Ron? Do you think you're nervous about any of that stuff they're collecting?
First, no, and at the bottom of the menu here, right on the menu that I have, it says cookie settings, reject all or accept all. So you have the option right in the software to reject all the cookies. I don't have a real big concern because it's used. APCUG uses MailChimp. There are a lot of MailChimp has been around an awful long time. I didn't know much about it. I had no idea what MailChimp was other than Judy Tallur used it for APCUG. And Judy was really the one that got me interested in it. And when I started looking at it a year ago, it suited the bill. It was just great. And I will tell you, having slugged away at My Club Circle for 10 years, sending out emails once a week or twice a week, this is just joyous to use. It's so simple. Carol's got a smile on her face. It really, you just, I don't know, Bob, My Club Circle sucks, like they do some things that are just not very good. And this just is so much better, and I'm so happier. I don't know if you have any comments about that.
I looked at MailChimp 3 or 4 months ago to replace My Club Circle within our club, and primarily because My Club Circle, to try and send out a newsletter, was very cumbersome to work with. MailChimp was a little bit easier to compose an email that would resemble a newsletter, and you've had that experience.
Right.
It is much easier to do that newsletter than My Club Circle. The challenges that I faced on it were it kept adding HTML code to behind the scenes and just made it miserable to go in and make changes to any template that you set up. So I had looked at MailChimp, but we decided not to do anything at that point. But what I'm hearing today may have changed my mind, and we need to take a little more closer look at it, and also to take into consideration some of the things that we're doing procedurally. Are we doing things that we don't need to be doing? And I think you mentioned that right off from the top.
Well, that's the problem, is going to be those people won't be there when you come back in October. The people that may have been doing whatever they were doing may not be there. And how are you going to run your club if you are going to try and get someone to log into My Club Circle and do those things, right? So, and it could be adding people in your database. It's just not going to happen. So we need to make it so darn simple. And the legacy that certainly Carol and I want to leave is that when we walk out of there, someone will get a book, and all the information's in the book. You open the front page, and there's the list of people that's in the club, right, Carol?
Absolutely right. I'm curious to find out how the other presidents, vice presidents, whatever office you hold, how are you communicating with your membership? Stop laughing, Chris.
I was just going to say what was very obvious to us is that we have to, if we're going to get volunteers, everything has to be WYSIWYG and drag and drop. We can't have people running off into programs and having to do all this stuff.
That's right. And the way in which you're going to is a piece of paper and you write it down. And that's, you know me, I'm a techie guy and I do a lot of very technical things, but I'm talking about a group of people who are seniors who are in your club and who are, Carol's going to stand up at the front of the room and say, who wants to be our membership director? And, Carol has done that for 8 years and has got 0 people, right? I mean, there's nobody wants to, because the first question is, well, what does that entail? Well, you need to log in. We'll teach you about My Club Circle. We'll teach you how a database works. That all is a no-go, right? That's just not going to happen, right? And so if you said we have a book and all you need to do is write the name in the book and put a tick mark when they pay, anyone can do that, right?
But you still need somebody that's going to take that data off of that ledger and put it into some place where you can email. Somebody's got to do that, and that's going to be a technical effort. Whether you're using Gmail or whether you're using My Club Circle or MailChimp.
Right, exactly. But that would be, I would tell you that a 3-year, like I'm going to say that it is so, I've used MailChimp for a year now. And I send out two newsletters a week. It is a 3-year-old could do it, right? I've got it down to I could show anybody in this group, and it probably takes me 3 or 4 minutes to send out a newsletter. That's to create it, put the content in, and hit the button to send. And I've automated it so it's real simple to do. Whereas that's not so simple in My Club Circle, and it's a big learning curve. So that's that. And I'm not saying MailChimp is the only one that you can do it. In particular for Chris's group, if I was at Leisure World and you had 350 people, I'd go use Apricot. Apricot is like a glove. It's like everything you ever wanted in a club software is in Apricot. Use Apricot, right? But if finance aren't a problem and you want everything electronically, it is club management software. It's been around for years and it's won all those awards, but it isn't cheap, right? Particularly when you get up into the higher numbers. So, but MailChimp is, and what I tried to show you today is particularly for clubs that aren't 100%, I mean, if you've got 50 people in your club or 30, you don't have limitless resources, right? So, that's what I tried to show you today is some other things that you might think about doing. Stan.
We have the Leisure World Post, which is a Google group, which works very well for us for communicating with the whole community. Yep. So we don't have to look at that so much, but we need something good for membership and that type of thing, because using My Club Circle, all the membership is still in there. And
right.
That's how we've been keeping track, and we print it out and so forth.
Right.
So
and also remember, Stan.
Good.
Yeah, and also remember, Stan, with My Club Circle, there is no such thing as My Club Circle anymore. My Club Circle was the giveaway software that Green Rope had for their CRM program, and as of a couple of years ago, it is no longer offered. The amount of money that we are paying to Green Rope, which I think is peanuts. I mean, we're getting actually a good value for it. Mm-hmm. is the old policy that they've said we will be grandfathered in. I don't know, until the company gets sold. I mean, most companies do. It's been around for a while. Will it get sold, and will those change? And maybe we'll get, because if you go and try to purchase what we have now, you would be up to several $1,000s a year. You couldn't do that, right? But we don't use all the stuff that's in My Club Circle was never designed for clubs. It's a CRM management thing that has nothing to do with clubs. We're just using it as sort of club software.
And that's what we did. We're grandfathered in the same way.
Right.
When I was treasurer at the time, I looked at the value we were getting for the usage, and that wasn't even there for how little we were paying. Use it for membership, that was about all. Once in a while, we might send out a group emailing, but that's about it. We
Right.
didn't utilize it like we could have.
Right. Just before I take Chris's question, I'm the, like all of you, if I polled you all now and said, put up your hand if you hate Facebook, you would all put up your hand. And I get that, but I know, Richard. Yeah, I get it. And I'll put my hand up too. But what you have to understand is everybody knows how to use Facebook. Everybody is on Facebook, even though you say you hate it. You all have Facebook accounts, and everybody knows that. And so to use a Facebook group, and particularly if you look at Silveridge, our resort, they have a very, very well used Facebook group called Silveridge Connect. And if you are in our resort, you really want to be connected there, because that's how you keep your eyes and ears open to what happens at our resort. So it is you have to think about that. So Facebook groups is really a good option you might want to think about. Sorry, Chris, did you have a question? Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to make a comment here. Now, probably 2/3 of our membership doesn't even show up at a meeting. We don't know who they are. We know who they are, but they like to donate because they like to support the club. And so we have to make sure that as we're doing this, we figure out a way for them to keep doing that. That's pretty important.
Right. Frank, you have your hand up?
Unmute yourself.
Thank
Frank.
you. Thank you, Ron. Yeah. And thanks for this presentation. It's been very helpful. Our two main technical problems, in my opinion, in the Leisure World Club are the My Club Circle and the website. Both of those require technical competence that we're not equipped with. And if we were to equip ourselves with it, we're currently recruiting people, and God willing, I think we have somebody that could actually, a new young person who could actually handle both of those things. But we'd rather not. We'd rather simplify, just as you're suggesting. So getting rid of My Club Circle. You've mentioned two things in respect to that. Getting rid of My Club Circle would leave us with the need to communicate with our members somehow and keep track of our finances or dues somehow without My Club Circle. The idea you've offered of a manual ledger to keep track of dues, I could see that working very well. MailChimp you've offered as a means to communication, substitute for the communication functionality that we would dream of getting from My Club Circle, but right now none of us know how to use it. Judy Taylor mentioned to me that some clubs just use an Excel spreadsheet with email addresses in it and somehow export that. Are you at all familiar with that, Ron, or is anyone familiar with?
No, I'm familiar with that, and you could in fact use that. If you had a small club, you could do it on an Excel spreadsheet and do all what we've discussed within that spreadsheet, for sure.
Is there some limit? As Chris has mentioned, we have 300 members. God only knows what we'll have, as you're mentioning, when we come back next year. But let's say we have 300 or 400 members. We put them in an Excel spreadsheet. It would be viable. I just don't know, so I'm asking. It would be viable to export those into Gmail, let's say, and then send email blasts to those members?
You put 100,000 in
it. Get looked at because you're a spammer.
Yeah, you are limited on Gmail on what the other. Yeah, you have to be careful how many you send out in a Gmail. Gmail would not be the way to go, but your concept is, Frank, your concept is there, and you could do that, right? That is certainly possible, and an option, because most of what you're discussing could be done within a spreadsheet.
Doesn't that go through MailChimp?
It could be linked to MailChimp. You could certainly do that, but it's so easy. Let me tell you that it's so easy to export the file. It's a CSV file that you export from. It'll take 2 minutes to export the file from My Club Circle and import it into MailChimp. It is like so simple to do. And you'd have all your members right within MailChimp, and you could send them an email within seconds. I mean, it's so simple to do. It's not complicated.
Is there any limit to MailChimp as far as how many you send at once and all that stuff?
None. You get 10,000 a month and you have 2,000 contacts. So we send 1,600 emails a week times 4. So we've got, we're about half, at some point in the future, we'll probably reach the 10,000, but not now.
We do
So,
use
Ron,
a spreadsheet for our financing and keeping track of our treasurer. That's what they use, Frank.
Okay.
And Stan, that's fine. And I don't have any problem with the treasurer saying, gee, the problem with the treasurer is when they say, well, let's use QuickBooks, right? And then you have 5 years of stuff on QuickBooks and then they leave. Boom, gone.
Well, we make backups and we keep a file for our club.
Yeah, you want to, the problem with treasurers is they like to use their software and then it goes and boom, it's a problem. So is spreadsheets fine, or print it out and have it as a paper? I wanted to talk to Don. I know Don's got his hand up, and I will tell you that not Leisure World, but Venture Out is a unique club in that Venture Out uses the My Club Circle software integrated into their passcode system to get into their resort. And I think Colin set this up originally. And so it is part of the Venture Out's. They need cards to go into different rooms. These cards, they wear open and closed doors, and also provides updated access to entering and leaving the premises, which is all tied into My Club Circle. So Don, you've got a venture. You've certainly got probably technical people that do this, and your resort has a good reason to keep using it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't think probably in your situation it would be an option to change, but for the other people it would be. Do you know what I'm saying, Don?
Yeah, that's right. Although I'm not resident this year, being a Canadian,
right.
About 2/3 of our executive are resident, and so the club is fully functioning. In terms of My Club Circle, at one point, well, Colin, of course, at one point was the only person that knew how to run it. I learned from Colin. Fortunately, before I left, I got a few people trained in it, so there's probably 4 or 5 people now are efficient in operating My Club Circle. I don't think My Club Circle per se is required for the pass system.
Okay.
But it certainly is used as a means. The pass system is run by our security department.
Right.
And the pass or My Club Circle is used to provide information to them as to who's a member and who's not. So if we got rid of My Club Circle, we'd have to find a different means of communicating with the security department.
Right.
But as it is right now, My Club Circle is being used by the club and is still fully functional.
Right. And in your set of all of the ones I mentioned this at the very beginning, I think you have the most vested interest in continuing on with My Club Circle because of the issues that you have, right?
That's right. That's correct.
But I've been to all your other clubs, and I can tell you that there's lots of better ways to skin a cat than using My Club Circle, right? I mean, that's the issue. So I think and I talked to Carol about this week, and I'm going to be making the recommendation that we move on. And part of that is because we have to accept the fact, Carol and I, that we're not going to be here forever, right? Do you plan on being here forever?
I hope not.
I do.
I mean, I've been president long enough, I think,
That's
7
right.
years is the longest term anyone in our club has served. But I just want to put a few feathers in Ron's bonnet. He has run My Club Circle for Silvercom CTC absolutely beyond belief. I mean, on a moment's notice, I can give Ron a call and say, how many people have opened up our latest email on our meeting? He can give me the number. He can give me the number on absolutely anything. How many members have paid? How many members are not paying? How many members have put our emails into spam? I mean, he has taken that program to the absolute limits. But as Ron has said, we got a new member to take over membership. This man owned his own company, took one look at my club circle and said, are you kidding me? He says, where did you pick up this piece of crap? He said, I'll do an Excel spreadsheet, you know, that'll make a lot more sense than this. He said, this is so detailed. And I said, Larry, I'm not going to argue with you. He tried, and then he ended up quitting. So where did that get me? But what I really want to know is how many of you officers are looking at next year, whether it's October or November, going back to your club and really feeling that it's all going to be the same? Because believe me, both Ron and I know it's not going to be. Now, what is it going to be like?
And what will be the future? In other words, will you know, I anticipate that some sort of electronic type of, like, for example, EVACC. We have never had the support or the group that's coming each month now to these meetings. We have how many we got? We got 20 people
20.
here. You know,
Right.
we would get, you know, if we had an EVACC meeting in the evening, we might get 3 people sometimes. In fact, some years we was, what are we having these meetings for? So my envision the following year, and we'll talk about this next month, which will probably be our last meeting, will be, you know, we'll meet in the fall, but it will be a Zoom meeting. It will not be a meeting at someone's resort. I mean, this is just too good to give up, right?
I
We're
think
looking
the
at
years
doing
of
both.
going,
Pardon me, Stan?
We're looking at doing both, having a
Right.
Zoom meeting and also having a physical meeting.
Right.
but
So
don't you think the years of teaching in a classroom of Windows and Excel and PowerPoint are gone by?
We still have to do some teaching. And as a lot of seniors, younger people are more used to doing things online and training online, as more senior people would prefer a class, I think. And we're still going to look at having some classes, in my opinion.
it's interesting. Just Chris, just before you start, Chris, we say it's sort of cool because I'm 69 this year. When I came to Silveridge, I was 60, and I looked around at all those people at Silveridge, and they were all 80, and I thought, oh my God, what am I getting into? They're all real old farts, right? And you know, now I'm coming up, and I'm almost 70, and I'm looking back. There's a lot younger people in there, right? And you know, I'm thinking, oh gee, you know, this is different. And I think when we go back, and the people that might be attracted to these clubs are going to be a lot younger, and their attitudes are going to be a lot different than we have, right? You know, it's going to be, so again, things are going to be different.
Ron,
I
if
think the
could
road to computer clubs is going to be straight new technology. Like you said, Ron, people coming in these clubs or these, you know, parks are going to be a lot younger. When I started at Silvercom, I was in my mid-50s. I'm 70 now.
Right. Diana, did you have your hand up? No, okay.
Ron, this may be a topic for another day, but we've been talking about how we might eliminate My Club Circle. What might we do to relieve ourselves of the burden of a website? Or what are best practices for that? We don't have a webmaster. We can't afford a webmaster. A website has obvious value, but I just don't see how we can sustain it any more than we can sustain My Club Circle.
And that's a very good question. And Frank, I will put that as the main list. That's an excellent idea. And I will put that on the agenda for next month, okay?
Thank you.
Because I want to bring up some options. I think that's a very, very good comment, and one that I'll research and we'll present something for next month. One of the things that I would tell you is that, and I'll generally tell you what I think you should be doing, is I think you should be choosing a website service that's popular, common, and not necessarily WordPress. And there are a number of those out there, and you can have for $100 a website designed and built for you, which is pretty simple and easy to use. It is. There are so many people doing this now that you can have something designed for you. It's so simple to do. And I would just simply, if your club's got the money, just pay someone to do it, and it would be like a static website that you could have, and it'll look okay. And I think that's really what you're looking at. Tech for Senior, since it's all me doing it, I liked Google Sites. Google Sites is free, and Google Sites, I'm not a website designer, and I don't really want to spend a huge amount of time doing that type of work. But I was able to put together a half-assed website for Tech for Senior free, and I linked it to, I own the domain name techforsenior.com. I bought that on GoDaddy. I then created the site, Tech for Senior site that you'll see. So if you go to our website, I did that, and I did that with Google Sites, which is free. It's not that difficult to do, and it comes back to any 3-year-old could sort of do it. It's not that difficult, and it really is. I mean, and then I linked MailChimp into it, so we have the landing page, and we have the sign up forms that work on the website. So, Frank, but there are lots of ways to look at this, and I think you're absolutely correct that's an excellent topic for next month. So that'll be on the agenda for next month. Okay, guys, is that okay? Anybody else have anything we want to talk about next month? Because it is now an hour and a half that we've been yakking away, so we probably should wrap it up. But does anyone else have anything they want to talk about for March? Chris?
Right now we're discussing whether we go in person on our program day, or whether we stay with Zoom. And one of the possibilities hasn't been accepted, being talked about, is staying with the Zoom, because that way we get the most people, and then maybe have an in-person meeting to discuss whatever came up on the Zoom meeting on Monday, so people could actually get together, talk to each other, see each other face to face, those things. So I see that as a Zoom meeting and some, we'll call them SIGs or whatever they are, get together, but they'd be in smaller groups. And just one more comment about the new people. We've got to engage the new people coming into our community with, let them know we're there, welcome wagon, something or other, where we engage them either with in person or whatever, so that we can bring them in. And with that, we found that the newer, younger people, they don't want to do long old programs. The programs are almost gone. Everything's apps now. Everything is, and they're shorter pieces of we'll call them programs, functional operations that integrate with each other. And that's the difference between a big program that does everything. And so those people, they want a quick answer and to some particular thing, rather than learning a whole program. Nobody wants to do that anymore. So if we're going to get the younger people in, we've got to cater to that kind of person that wants the quick answer to something, et cetera. So somehow we ought to put that together into a discussion on our next meeting as how we do those things.
So in closing, I want to tell everybody, there was a 26-year-old girl who contacted me who is interested in seniors, and she's going to be on the show on Monday. And she started a website called the Buzz Club. And for those of you who want to find out about her and find out why she's interested in seniors and what the Buzz Club is all about, come and see us on Monday, and I'll be talking to her. She'll be our guest speaker on Tech for Senior on Monday. One of the successes of what Chris was alluding to, one of the successes of Tech for Senior is we have 5 people that all contribute, and Bob's one of them. And so it's a fast moving show that we have a lot of information on, and it moves quickly and changes. And that really attracts a lot of people. So Chris, you're absolutely right. Standing there and trying to talk about something for an hour is hard, right? Nobody wants that. They'll turn off. But on Tech for Senior, one of the things I track very carefully is our attendance and how many people are continuing to watch right from the beginning to the end. And in our last meeting, we started with 100 and finished at 98. Now, to have 100 people stay for an hour is very difficult to do, but we did that. So that's an attest to Bob and the staff and everybody that's doing the show, is that we are successful and we are doing things, but we are doing a lot of different things that are keeping people interested. And the fact that you might think that old people don't want about streaming, that's not true. They're interested. They want to know what StreamYard is. This is the year of streaming. Virtual reality. How many people have a VR set? They want to talk about virtual reality. Yeah, Bob and I are talking about VR all the time. Old people don't want to look at spreadsheets and teach how to use Word. It's not, they want to do the fun stuff too. Come to the Buzz Club. We want to get some young people and do some buzzing, and we want to do some interesting things, right? So
cross-platform is almost invisible now because we don't talk about platforms anymore. We just have something that works on everything. And your program doesn't suck into Windows or Apple for a long time.
That's right. And StreamYard is a good example of that, because StreamYard does not use any software. None, zero. It works on any device that you have at any location. You just connect with StreamYard, and you can be broadcasting. I could go out on the water here, stand down there, have my cell phone, and I could be on the meeting with you right here. That simple. So but that goes on and on and on. So, but Frank, thank you so much. The website issue is a good one, and I will research that, and that's a really good topic. If anybody has any other topics that they want to talk about for next month, we will. The other thing that you should consider, I'm not sure whether you want to have an April meeting or not. It doesn't matter to me. If you want to have an April meeting, fine, or you want March to be our last meeting. We'll probably discuss that in March. We don't have to make a decision now, but that's okay. Now, our next meeting will only be 3 weeks from now, right? Because we're a week later, so we'll have the meeting in 3 weeks. So we'll see everybody in a few weeks and see how they're doing.
Ron, can you hear me?
I can, Boyd. I can, Boyd. Yeah.
Wanted to let you know, my wife and I were so interested in the sweeper, that the WYZE, that we have already ordered one, and they now are charging $250. So we've already gotten back a confirmation of when it will be shipped.
Boyd, even at $250, it's a bargain.
Yeah.
And that's just something we started on Tech for Senior. Vacuum cleaners. Who thought old people be interested in vacuum cleaners? Well, it just so happens everybody's interested in that, so lots of fun stuff that we can do, right? So, excellent. So I guess, Alan, did you have a final comment?
Question. The link for this recording today is going to be on the EVACC website?
Correct. It's being recorded. Yep, it's being recorded. I'll have it up this afternoon. Okay. Thanks everyone for coming. And
hey, Ron, is that on the website or on your YouTube channel?
Well, I can give you. You want to put the link on the website? I'll give you the playlist, and then it's got all the EVACC recordings.
Send me that. I can't remember if I've got that on the website or not, but I'll make sure it's on the website.
Can you make a button because the playlist goes on forever? Can you make a button and sort of put the playlist as a link on the button? You just put the button.
What I've done is gone into YouTube, and I'll set it up so that it's got all of the EVACC videos there.
Okay, but the playlist has them all. You don't actually have to put each video on the.
It's the master playlist for all of them.
Okay.
And then you
Yeah.
can scan through and pick the one you want.
Yeah.
So
fine.
it's a link to basically an archive of all of the EVACs.
Right.
That's what I've been doing.
Excellent. Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
That'll be there
yeah.
this afternoon.
Ron, do you know the founders of MailChimp are billionaires? They're in their like late 30s. Isn't that pathetic?
Hey, they got a great idea, and it's,
I know.
it's a great idea. I mean, if we thought about ideas like that, maybe BuzzFeed will turn out this girl who we're going to meet on Monday that's 26 years old will be the next multi-billionaire. I don't know. It's new technology and new stuff that's coming out.
I know. Just amazing.
Come and listen on
Absolutely.
Monday. Come and listen on Monday,
Right.
you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
See you
listen,
Have a
Monday.
great weekend, everyone.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon. We'll see you in 3 weeks. Okay.
All right,
See you
thank
on
you,
Monday.
everyone.
Temperature's going to be 80 degrees, Ron.
All right. Bye now.